Hi all. Today we are going to take classes on history from 6th standard to 12th standard based on NCERT textbook. Actually, it gives the simple basic knowledge of history. The 6th standard textbook deals with history of the ancient India, and the title of the book is Our Past. It is used in a plural sense. Why it is used why it is used in past instead of past? Because there were different groups of people were here. All these different groups of people had different past. The past of a farmer is different from the past of a ruler now. The earlier rulers were different from earlier farmers. So we have different types of people and different types of past also. And one more thing, now we are living in a modernized world. It didn't happen all of a sudden. In one place, when one place is more developed, there were underdeveloped places also. For example, now in India we are living in a modernized world, and we are purchasing the things we want from the market. But there is a place, there are places which is same like earlier. In Andaman Nicobar Islands, in some of the areas, people are still hunters and gatherers. Means they are hunting and gathering food from the forest for their livelihood. So past is different for different people. So let's move to the chapter. The first chapter is what, where, how, and when. Actually, it is the basic questions on history. Not only on history, if you are learning something, it is a basic question. For what, from where, how, and when did certain things happen, like that. And here, the first chapter is what, where, how, and when. What can we know about the past? There are so many things we can learn from the past. What sort of food they ate, what sort of clothes they wore at that time, and what sort of lives of the hunters, herders, farmers, rulers, merchants, priests, scientists, etc. of that time, and what type of games played by the children at that time, and what are the songs they sang, what were the stories they hear, like that. So many things are there we can know about the past. Second, where did people lived? Earlier, there was several 100,000 years ago. There is proof of some people lived near banks of Narmada. The earlier people were always their proofs of their earlier people always found near riverside. Why it is like that? Because for survival we need water. So they chose a place where there is plenty available of water and other food. And in the banks of Narmada, several 100,000 years ago, some of the earliest people who lived here, they were hunters and gatherers, which means they hunted animals or small prey and gathered food from forest like roots, vegetables, fruits, etc. They were completely depending the forest for their food. And actually, from the map we can see that there is also proof of people who resided 8,000 years ago in Suleiman and Kirtar Hills. It is in Pakistan. They were the people who first began to grow crops and rearing animals and started living in villages. Because when they lived in villages because When they started growing crops, they have to look the plants, they have to water it, and when their agricultural products are harvested, they have to store that. For that purpose, they need to stay in one place. Before that, people were nomadians, means people were moving from one place to another in search of food and to escape from some natural disaster, etc. And they were the people who first rearing animals also. And there is a proof of people lived in Garo Hills and the Vindhyas. Vindhyas are in the central part of the India, and the Garo Hills are in the northeast area of India. In this Garo Hills and Vindhya Hills, this agriculture is developed. The rice was first cultivated in Vindhyas, and before 4700 years ago, some of the earliest cities were developed in the sites of Indus, in the banks of Indus and its six tributaries. Indus and its tributaries have so much importance in our history. And 2500 years ago, cities developed near or in the banks of Ganga and its main tributary Som. It is found that the first kingdom, Magadha kingdom, which is in Bihar, was developed in the banks of Ganga. Nowadays, people often travels, but at that time, in earliest period, traveling was very very difficult because they have to. There was no such facilities available today. So they have to cross mountains, cross rivers. So it made the journey more difficult. Then also people moved from one subcontinent to other in search of livelihood, to escape from disasters, etc. People moved to acquiring knowledge. Later it became to acquiring knowledge to for the trade and for pilgrimage and for spreading the religious knowledge. People moved from one place to another. This movement of people enriched our cultural traditions, and there were sharing of ideas between people. It made the development of, or it shown the new ways of carving stone, cooking, and compositions of music, etc. The new ways are formed, introduced. And when we came to the names of land, for India or for this country, we are using the words India and Bharat. How it developed? Actually, India is emerged from the word Indus. Indus in Sanskrit, it is Sindhu, Sindhu river. India is the word which is derived from the Indus river, name of the Indus river. Iranians and Greeks who came before 2500 years ago to India, and they known about this Indus river, and they called Indus as Indus, and the land to the east of the river as India. And Bharata was a group of people lived in northwest area. As per Rig Veda, which was written 3500 years ago, and it is the first composition in Sanskrit. It is the earliest composition also, earliest book. And when we are talking about finding out the past, how the past is detected correctly. The past is found from manuscripts, inscriptions, and the fossils left, and from bones, and from clay pots received from while digging, etc. Manuscripts are the books which is written long years ago. The word manuscripts is derived from the word manu, which is It is a Latin word which means hand. At that time, people used hand for writing. There were now we are using printing for writing something. We are using hand also for by using pen we are writing, but there is printing facilities available now. And today we are writing in papers, and at that time people used palm leaves and like the things. And these manuscripts were preserved in temples. Many of the manuscripts are already spoiled by insects, but then also some are there. These manuscripts include epics, poems, plays, medicine and science, and the lives of kings. Inscriptions means it is the writings on hard surfaces like metal, stone, etc. The orders of the kings are written as inscriptions for, for the people, and the records of victories of kings also recorded as inscriptions model. And the clapboard and the objects which is used by the earlier people received while digging the soil. So digging the soil is also used as a tool for finding out the past. And the bone which is got from the from digging, or as a result of the as a proof the early which was used by earlier people to know what sort of food they are ate. You can find it. You can find so many things using these materials like this clapboard, bones, some fossils, and the objects left. When we are talking about letters with dates, when someone asking what is today's date, we can say it without any doubt. But what about when they are asking about 2000 years before, like that? Then it is counted from the date generally assigned to the birth of Jesus Christ. These years counted on the birth of Jesus Christ, who is the founder of Christianity. When we are talking about the year 2000, it means 2000 years after the birth of Christ. BC means before Christ. BCE means before Common Era. It is same as before Christ, and before present also used. AD means Anno Domini. It's a Latin word, and its meaning of the word is in the year of Lord. For the present we are using AD, and for the present we are using CE also, Common Era. We use these terms because the Christian era is now used in most countries of the world. In India we are using it before 200 years ago. And when we are moving to the next point, the last point in this chapter discusses what will happen in elsewhere at this time. And at that time, inscriptions of several 100,000 years ago is found from Rosetta, a town in Egypt, and there were kings, and it gives the proof of there were kings and queens about 5,000 years ago, and they used inscriptions. It all shows the way how the human beings are developed to this stage.